Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from passionate Reds, only on All for United.
Hello, welcome to All for United's fan preview for the Everton game this weekend. We got the same crew as last week, funnily enough, which we're hoping is not a bad omen. We're expecting the dream team. Yeah, we're expecting Abdul as well at some point. He may arrive, he may not. That's happened a couple of times to us recently. But yeah, so another game at the weekend with another 7 days without United, which a little bit of respite to ease us back into things, guys. But I don't think we can go into the Everton preview without having firstly a quick how do you do to all the guys and a reaction to the news that's been breaking tonight about Erik ten Hag, which I don't know if it's conveniently timed after a poor weekend or not. That might be a bit of a conspiracy theory sort of vibe coming out there. But yeah, there's a lot of big journalists coming out with reports that Erik ten Hag is close to being United manager. I'm sure the guys talked about it on Anything Goes in the last show at 7:00. But let's get our view on it. First off, with you, Baines, what's your thoughts? Are you happy about that if it's going in that direction?
The best bald manager in the world. No, look, yeah, I'm ecstatic. Honestly, he's a great manager. I think we had a chat about this the other day in our WhatsApp group, and it was, yeah. Look, I'm hoping he can come in and with a good structure above him, because as we've seen with Louis van Gaal's comments a couple of weeks ago, where he said that United are a commercial club, they're not a footballing club, and all of this. The only difference really is that Van Gaal didn't have John Murtough or Fletcher or Ranić. So I'm hoping for any manager, no matter who they are, you could be Pep, Klopp, you could be Tuchel. You need someone above you to bridge that gap between owners and the manager. So
yeah,
I really do hope that United get that right. It's the first step was to appoint John Murtough, which was a couple of years ago. The second one was to get in Ranić, and the third one was this one. So it's a steady process, and I hope it really does work out for him. I really do. I'm ecstatic for it. Honestly, I really am. I preferred him over Poch anyway.
I was just about to ask you, is that your preferred choice out of two? Because there's quite a bit of division in there, which is pretty firmly on Erik ten Hag's side. If you
division in the United fan base, never.
I know this is unprecedented stuff, but there is division in the United fan base over two polar opposites, not even polar opposites really. It's just people feel very strongly about one or the other, and it's no one's got
middle ground here.
There is no nuance. I'll provide some nuance and middle ground, but my tweets get about 2 likes because no one likes rational thought or anything like that.
No, we don't do that here.
No. Right, shall we on to you, Gav? Firstly, how are you doing, mate?
I'm
you
good,
all right? Good. And your thoughts on tonight's breaking news? Is that the way you would want it to go personally? I can't remember if we spoke about this on the last one.
Yeah, definitely. I do think the sway is probably more towards Erik ten Hag than it was Poch anyway, but it's nice to see the board making a footballing decision that is majority of the fan base are sort of going to be on board with. And you never know. There was all these rumours about Ralf Ranić having a very small amount of hours per week. If he's got somebody like Ten Hag literally working alongside him, then it does sort of give you hope for this new project that we're going to be going down over the next 3 to 5 years. So I think it's optimism at a time where we needed a little bit of optimism.
Yep, definitely. And we've got Abdul here with us now. Sorry, I don't know how long you've been waiting there, mate, because I just noticed there was a little bar that I had to scroll down on, and there you were.
Yeah,
there you were
no
waiting.
Worries. It's all just 2 minutes. It's all good.
Oh, good. Well, we'll come to you. We'll come to you next. We're just talking about the Erik ten Hag news that's come out tonight. What's your kind of first reaction on that? Is that positive for you?
Yeah, definitely. He's one of the upcoming great men. Yeah, top tier if you want to put him in that category. Managers out there right now, but again, like the question will always be, will the club fix all its issues so that they can get the best out of him? You know what I mean? So there's always this question mark of, okay, who are we gonna back who we were gonna bring? And backing isn't like spending money. Backing is getting the proper structure to get the best out of the manager, just as you get the best out of players, basically, right? So every 2 to 3 years, we go down a road with one manager, and basically we just change course 2 years and a half in and say, oh, we have had enough, and we do them over, basically, the managers, and we blame them and we sack them, and then we go down another road.
Yeah, we quite often need success to happen right there and then, but we also want to see change, and the two can't often go together so closely together anyway.
And he will require patience the most out of all of them, because his style is very, very different to what United have been playing recently. So
yeah. Should we we'll go to you, Reece, now? Your thoughts? Sorry to leave you so long, mate.
It's all right. It's fine. No, I agree with the guys. I think it's. I mean, you get to this stage, don't you, in a pretty poor season when you kind of like would take anybody at some point. But I think the practical option was Ten Hag. I don't know if anybody caught the Monday Night Football with Rooney on there, and there was a bit where he was talking about Fergie and the real reason why he felt like it was so difficult with previous managers, and what the major difference was, other than the obvious. And he kind of mentioned that it was the divide from, I think when we look at it as fans, you focus on the first team, don't you? And you focus on the kind of squad and the first team squad. But he said the detachment from like mainly sort of Mourinho and Van Gaal was how much it was they were detached from like the academy system and the youth system and all that kind of side of the club as well, and the staff that had been there for 15, 20 years, and suddenly then Mourinho just wanted to come in and just win trophies and focus on the first team and get transfers in. I think that's something that, looking at Ten Hag's kind of philosophy, I think he's always been, or he looks at Ajax at the minute, somebody who's going to encourage young players to come into a first team and give them a chance. So that's hopefully something that, as United fans, we're going to see that prosper a little bit through Ten Hag. So I think obviously it's exciting that we've got somebody who's going to try and get a philosophy in the first team, but also look at more of the club behind that as well. So yeah, it's a good appointment, I think, Simon. Yeah,
it does. I think they'd both be, in a way, good fits for the sort of youth development side of things, you would think, because both have a history of bringing players through in that sense. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll wait for it to be confirmed. Obviously, some of the big journalists are going with it, and it seems pretty concrete now, but with no official word. Just it seems nailed on. They don't go this hard in on a story altogether, do they? Normally, if there's nothing in it. So a bit of positive news for our week. But now we have to turn to the actual football and the rest of the season. So,
can we not?
Yeah. Are we after Saturday, Baines? Did you more disappointment, obviously? But
yeah, I just this was meant to be the response, So like, when your team go, what, they lose a game or whatever. This was meant to be the response after that game. This was meant to be okay. We messed up. We'll go out there and we'll go beat Leicester. And look, Leicester are no slouch. Of course, they've got some quality players. They do have a good coach in Rodgers, but this season they've been a shambles. They haven't been to their level that they have been previously. They could be just on a sort of a little bit of a downward trajectory. The players are sort of a bit burnt out, maybe. So they were there for the taking. But then you could argue that so were we. So we made them look good. I don't know what it is, but teams seem to come play us at Old Trafford and they look amazing. And I can't put my finger on it, on how these teams can just turn up and just play this really freestyle, confident football. And then you look at their league form and you think that they've won the last 5 games. In actual fact, it's the complete opposite, So it's, I was really disappointed. I didn't watch much of the game, but from what I did, it looked like I didn't really miss much, to be fair. But I really hope just on Saturday that if we lose to Everton after the way that they've been playing, and especially Frank Lampard being the manager there, this season's just finished. Honestly, it really is there's no point going for top four. If we don't win against Everton, that's me done. I cannot be bothered with it because they look dreadful. They've just lost 3-2 to Burnley. Like, come on, like the Spanish Atletico. Like, please, like, can we just get 3 points? I beg them. Oh, please.
They need to because they can't break up the gang for the fan previews, can they? Come on.
No, exactly. Is this like a bad omen or something? Like, what's going on? We're not need to split up, honestly. Oh, mate, I could go on for ages about this. I won't. Yeah. I'll let the guys continue.
Yeah, we'll just keep harking back to Saturday. I'm afraid just because we obviously all made predictions. Gav, that 2-0 win that you predicted didn't materialise, did it? Unfortunately.
Well, you've heard the players say they bounce back more times than the bouncing bomb in the Dam Busters. So, we got to see them bounce back at least once this season. Now, what I just don't understand is we played like a team that was tired, like there was energy in the team, and we just had an international break where the majority of the squad wasn't even called up. So if that's what they're going to play like after a break, what hope do we have going in the running of the season? Now, papers, you look at it with Everton, they're not playing great. I mean, they've literally just had the win knocked out of their sails by Burnley. So you would think that would be something that between now and the weekend we can say, right, come on, we can go into this and we can do something. Let's get the end of this season. We might not get top four, but let's finish here on a high. But you just don't know. We could go there, we could have them come, we could play them and we could win 4-0. But we could also then draw 1-1 or even lose 2-1. So it's very hard to predict when you don't really know what United is going to be. They have got somebody in Richarlison who is tricky in the box that can score a goal. But then they've also got a defence which is not exactly brilliant. So there are going to be chances for both teams. Ronaldo being back in training, that's a positive. If we can get the service to him and he can find his shooting boots, then I feel like we could get something out of the game. But Maguire, he came back. He didn't sort of break the mold of anything, but he had a solid game. If he can build on that and just keep ploughing along, I think we'll be all right for the rest of the season. But we need focus, we need clear heads, and we need a little bit of desire from the team because you can't just walk into games expecting to get a result. You've got to put your head up and say, right, come on, let's do this. And he's the captain. He's the one who should be putting the rocket up their arse.
As well as the manager.
Yeah. I thought with Ollie, he's very reserved on the sideline. I thought having somebody, a coach who's a German coach, you'd get maybe not a Conte where he's being very energetic on the line, but you'd expect there to be some orders being given to the midfielders,
standard,
the wingers, something being given to say, right, that's not working, let's change it up, or let's keep the ball for a little bit, or let's push higher up the pitch. Something. As fans, we shouldn't be analysing the game thinking that we know more, but then actually feeling that we are actually the ones that seem to know more, because we can see the problems, we can see where things need to change, and we aren't in that position of being a manager, a coach, or something along those lines. We're just fans. It's not our job to dictate to the players how they should be playing, But if the fans can see it, why can't the manager? Why can't the coaches? Why isn't somebody saying you need to close that gap, or you need to up the pace, or you need to drop off, or you need to keep the ball? Something. Just get, even if they send Fred a note with the shopping list on, something, anything. Just do something.
Yeah, well, hopefully the Man United Twitter advisory board, which is, us lot, hopefully we made the right decision in employing Ten Hag then, and maybe things will change. In terms of Saturday, Abdul, who needs this win more? Who's under more pressure? Because obviously Everton have lost 3-2 against Burnley tonight, and that is a bit of a killer of a result for them. So they'll be absolutely gagging for a result against us. And does that put us in, even more danger of another slip? Did you get that, Abdul?
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I think Everton needs it more than us, because I don't really have hope for top 4. I don't think we're gonna get it. And I don't think they are playing for like they want to get top 4 anyway. That's been for the past couple of games anyway. So I think Everton needs it more than us, and probably they'll fight more than us next game for it, because I think one loss for Everton and they could really slip into the relegation positions. They still have Liverpool and a lot of other teams to play, and we have Liverpool after Everton. It's funny. It's the thing is, like, I'm not like, there's so many problems with the team. It's hard to just pick on one and say that is the issue. It's hard to just sit down here and berate them on mentality and say it's because of their mentality that's why they're failing, or because of their lack of mentality, as said in this conference. That is the issue. I don't believe it's any of those, or in a bigger section of the problem. I think it's a combination of a lot of things, and the majority of the thing that would take most of the cake really is that team is not really constructed well to fit each other. That's the base of the cake, basically, and mentality and these intangibles are just like the crust, the icing on top. That's all it is. But what's causing everything else is how this team is constructed to begin with. Is it a team that fits each other? Is it a team that can get the best out of each other? That's the main problem. And if that gets solved, all these other intangibles on the side will get solved automatically. So I don't want to focus, like, I'm not the type that focuses on, like, oh, he did not run that 2 inches, or he did not, show a little more aggression or whatever. There are many players in the Premier League that are not very physical or aggressive, and he did very, very well. But I don't believe that notion. And there are many players that I think our players are trying. It's just they don't really know what they're doing. So basically, whatever they're trying, it looks like they're not trying, which is very funny to see. But yeah, that's what I think about it.
Yeah, I think we got most of what you said. Then I think I don't know if your connection's the best, because you kept breaking up a little bit. But I think we got the gist of. I think we got the gist of what you were saying there. That the team just don't seem to know what they're doing in a tactical sense, and that the desire is part of it, but it's not everything. Reese, we'll come to you next.
Yeah, I was mainly blaming the construction of the team over the mentality and aggression and the intangibles. And I was saying that if we constructed a better team that fits together, it will make those intangibles that we scream about every podcast will go away on their own, because that team fits well together. These intangibles come along because Shaw does not fit playing with, for example, I'm just giving a random example. It doesn't mean it's true. But let's say that Shaw doesn't fit playing well with Fred, or Fred doesn't fit playing well with Scott McTominay. If your players don't fit each other's, don't fit their weaknesses and strengths, right, they are going to look confused, because each one brings something completely different than the other that does not fit what the other does, right? So they're going to look confused. They're going to look like they don't know what to do. Some of them will get discouraged and not want to try harder, and then you'll start to question the mentality, and then you'll start to question all the rest of it. But what's the source of the issue? The source of the issue is, for example, Scott and Fred don't fit each other. Like Fred exposes Scott's weaknesses, and Scott's weaknesses exposes Fred's strength. Something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the main biggest issue with that team. If you fix that that core problem, all these intangibles disappear. And then you will come on here and after a win and saying, "Oh, I love the mentality of the team. I love the aggression. They were working well together. They are, they want it, and all that stuff." You know what I mean? But what right now, why we're having all these questions is because they don't fit well together, and basically they're in each other's way.
Yeah,
that's the biggest issue right now.
That's a good point, to be fair.
Yeah, and you sounded much better then. We got all of
that. No, it's a headset.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Reese, we'll come to you then, mate. We'll just following up on that. Basically, whilst we have this group of players that Abdul says, doesn't necessarily fit together or complement each other, how much danger do you think we're in a sense of really needing a victory? I mean, at the weekend, things kind of went our way, apart from Tottenham and West Ham. I mean, Chelsea and Arsenal both dropping points was something that we maybe didn't expect. And, so we're not too far behind where we started last weekend, really. So there's still a bit of a chance, to push on, but is that desire to actually push on there, or are we going to get out desired by an Everton team that, really need it?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose they've got their own issues, haven't they? And I think Burnley, looking at the fixtures, have got Norwich as well, so that's another huge game down at the bottom where there could be a mixture of teams moving around. So Burnley win that game, Everton lose their game. Not sure who Everton have got, and then I don't know. Not Everton. Watford. Sorry. Watford at the bottom as well are going to be at the mixing around at the bottom. But for us, I mean, we struggled against Everton first game round, didn't we? We drew 1-1, and I suppose at this stage of the season, where for our players, it's as fans, we're looking at the players and thinking, do we want to see a lot of these players next season, and do the players want to be here? So aside from the fact that mathematically top four is still a possibility, and obviously that's a massive sort of carrot that's been dangled that we still need to play for. I think there's a big thing as well where are these players going to play for that? Are they going to care enough to want to come through and play for that top four spot? I mean, Pogba's. We're hearing rumours again today. I mean, we hear rumours every transfer window, don't we, about Pogba? But this one just seemed a little bit more realistic. That he's kind of looking at PSG. He's also looking at Juventus. Already now before the end of the season, we're looking at players setting up their next deal, and it's just there's still a lot of the season, or enough of the season to go to mathematically get in that top four spot. And obviously, from an Everton point of view, they've got everything to play for. They've got Premier League survival, and I don't know how many years they've been in the Premier League for, but it's got to have been a fair few years now where
all of them.
There you go.
I don't think they've ever been relegated.
They've never been relegated. So it's since it transferred over to the Premier League. So there you go. It's a massive thing for them. So I'm sure, obviously, they're going to be playing their heart out. Funnily enough, I think Benji, you said it, that teams need to come against United and suddenly start becoming Barcelona against us. And I've seen it so many times this season. Newcastle was a prime example where Joe Linton just suddenly turned into Ronaldinho for 90 minutes. And, it was just ridiculous. And I've seen that so many times this season. Norwich the same. Norwich were bottom of the league, and we struggled to.
Watford.
Couldn't score. Norwich was a Ronaldo penalty in the last 10 minutes. So I'm taking nothing from the fact that Everton are fourth from bottom, that we're going to get 3 points out of this game. It's all about how United players apply themselves and whether they care enough to want to play for Man United before the end of the season. So hopefully that's the case and we get 3 points. But like Benji says, if we don't, I don't know. Don't know if I'm past getting angry about it anymore. Just more disappointed. So,
would you guys say that it's a positive having Frank Lampard as their manager? And picking up on what Anirudh said in comments, with Nemanja Matic. He's not played a lot of football in the last couple of weeks. Is it worth chucking him in that midfield, try and win that midfield battle?
I mean, it's possible. Do you want to take it, Benzi?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's certainly a possibility because you had, well, I mean, Scott McTominay. I'm probably one of his only fan, to be honest. And he was awful. Yeah, it was dreadful. I'm not going to support that. It's just there's nothing. I can't say anything positive about it. Fred was obviously, he was good, and he tries, but it's just the same. It's the same old story almost every week. It's just we can't sort the midfield out. We've got Reece alluded to this, that we do have an aging squad, and that's crept up on us because I remember when Ollie first got the permanent job, he was hiring young, energetic players who were hungry, blah, blah, blah. But now they're coming sort of, you got Pogba, who's almost hitting 30. You got Lingard, he's still apparently a young player, according to some. You got Nemanja Matic, you got Mata. You've got players that 3-4 years ago you thought, oh yeah, they've got a good 6, 7, 8 years left, and now they're almost creeping up to 30, and you're thinking, bloody hell, where's that gone?
I think it's scary as well, just to add to what Bainesy said there as well about Fred. I don't want to sort of pick on Fred a little bit, but I think a year ago, Fred was clearly a glaring weakness in our team. Like, we felt like we'd kind of got it somewhere sort of balanced, and there was one or two positions we needed, and Fred was clearly a glaring weakness. And yet now Fred, in the last 6 or 7 games, has been looking like our best player, which is like, is that a positive or is that necessarily
is that as the standards dropped in? That's actually fair. That's a fair point.
He has scored some important goals as well.
Yeah, he has. Credit where credit is due. He has actually played really well under Rangnick, and he's got the few goals that he's scored important goals. I remember I think Rangnick's first goal was Fred, wasn't it? Crystal Palace.
Fred,
with his rock foot as well. So it's like, I mean, look, I like Fred and I like McTominay. I like it when they're as a pairing. They do work on the occasion, but when it doesn't work, it looks awful. It really does not look good. So Nemanja Matic, coming back to the point, Nemanja Matic playing, if he's got 60 minutes, 70 minutes, and we could potentially be 2-0 up or whatever, probably we won't be, but you know what I mean? It's just, he is our best midfielder, and that's the shame. It's, what is he, 33, 34? Might be older, and you're just thinking, we need to replace him.
32.
He's 32. Right, okay. So, I mean, he's not even that old, is he? But I don't know why everyone keeps saying that he's gone. I don't know whether his legs might be gone, but it's just, it's that same problem that we have.
He's never been the fast one anyway. He's never been the fast midfielder anyway. But it's just that because it's like the same issue with Maguire, Maguire is not fast. Put him in a system that doesn't cover that. He looks like a shit defender. Yeah. It's the same thing with Nemanja Matic. Put Nemanja Matic in a midfield where there's a lot of space for him to cover. Nemanja Matic is not going to be able to do that. He's just not going to be able to. He does not have the speed naturally as a human. He does not have it. So if Nemanja Matic, for example, at his age gets dropped in City's system, Nemanja Matic would look like ace, just as good as Fernandinho or Rodri or anybody else. But because he plays with United and the system that they are using at the moment with the players that are around him, it makes him look worse than he actually is. I mean, for example, I'll give you an example of stupidity right now. We have a keeper who refused to come off the line, right? And a center back who's slow. And we want to play, we want to control the ball and keep a high line. Not only that, add on top of that, the fast center back that we got, instead of making him the cover center back, we're making him the stopper. And we're using the slow center back to be the cover. Like, none of it makes sense. Like, I was pulling my hair out last match. Like, why is Maguire covering for Varane? Varane is the fast one.
Yeah.
He should be covering for Maguire.
It was like that with Maguire and Lindelof, though, where it should be the other way around.
Yeah.
It should be the other way around. And then we have a keeper that's willing to come out of his box, sitting on the bench, rotting, right? Even if he's not good enough for it, for the highest level, he's at least better than the current one that we're using, so that he hides the weakness of the slow center back that he has. You know, so none of it makes sense, and that's the problem.
Go on, go on. Now, go finish. No, please.
I was just gonna say that, and that's the biggest issue, that we don't cover the weaknesses of our players. No player is perfect. Every player has a weakness, and if you don't cover his weakness, he's gonna look bad.
It's not just that though, is it? It's not just that though. It's they're making strange decisions as well. They're not even not just not covering weaknesses, but not playing to strengths either. Like, I don't know what you thought. I don't know what you thought of the selection on Saturday, Gav, with essentially Pogba and Fernandes again, similar to the City game, rather than playing a striker through the middle. You know, they played them two kind of trying to play up front. I mean, how much did we miss Ronaldo on Saturday, Gav? Because he's obviously back in training. That's a good thing for you, I imagine.
Definitely, but if you're going to play a false nine, I don't understand why we didn't do a false nine like we did against Watford in the last game of the season last year. Put Elanga up there; he did really well in that match. We had Donny in the cam, and it just really worked. We could have had Fred and Pogba, we could have had Bruno, Cam, and we could have had literally either Bruno dropping deep or having Elanga as the false nine. I don't like Bruno as that false nine. I don't think he's that kind of player. That one chance where he could have either gone near post or poofed it into the top of the net, and he played it along the floor and the keeper saved it. It's those kind of sort of situations that you want that false nine to take. And I do think that when Elanga played that role, he played it really well. But we've got a wealth of talent in our youth academy, which were starting to come through. And they seem to have faded into obscurity. We've got players that for that game we could have utilised. There was no pressure going into the match, really. We'd just come back from an international break. Top four, although it wasn't mathematically out, we've pretty much come to terms that it's unless the teams ahead of us start cocking it up like Arsenal did at the weekend, we are in a situation where we're just hoping that they literally let us through the back door like last season where we were out of it and we finished not last season before, where we were out of it and we finished ahead. So I'm in a position where if I was going to choose a false nine, I wouldn't have chosen Bruno. It didn't work against City, and I was very surprised that he did it the way that he did. It's that, what are they doing on the training ground each week? What are they doing that's prepping them for that match? Because I didn't see anything that I felt was different from the City performance. So it's the same system, but they didn't seem to learn any of the mistakes that they made in that City match. There wasn't the same, there wasn't any, I don't know, improvement. There was no sort of tactical nous to it. It just seemed a mess. There was no cohesion. I couldn't tell you what they'd done in the week that said, right, this week, this is what we didn't do it right last time. We worked on this. We're going to do this. Bruno, you need to be doing this. Wingers, you need to be doing this. Fullbacks, if they're on attack, you drop back. If we're on attack, you fly forward. I saw none of it. The average conditions at the end of that first half were all over the place. It was very defensive for a start. Everybody was in our own half. And Pogba was further forward than Bruno. And Bruno is supposed to be the false nine. And it just, I don't know what they're going to do. It's great that we got Ronaldo back. If we go Fred, Pogba, and Matic, Pogba, and Bruno, I think that we've got a better chance of winning it, because I think we've got a little bit of stability, which means that Pogba doesn't have to be as defensive. He plays his best football when he can get a little bit forward, knowing that he can rely on somebody behind him, that he doesn't have to do as much defensive work. That then allows Bruno to do what he does, sort of right on the line of the penalty of the box, where he's a cam, but he's also on the shoulder of the striker. We need Sancho and Elanga literally being fluid. They can be on one side. Both of them can play both sides. Let them switch every now and then. Keep the defense wondering what the hell's going on, because we can get at this defense. But the only way we're going to do it is if we put the players on the pitch in the right positions and we give them direction as to what they're supposed to be doing in those positions. Do that, you get the win. It's that simple.
Sorry, so I can't believe that we've all sat here and gone, right, okay, this is what needs to happen. This is what we're going to see. And we're not football experts here, and we're not talking rocket science. This is what I don't understand. There's a lot of people out there that know football. It is a simple game. There was a comment in one of the live comments. Simple football wins you the game. We don't need to do fancy tricks. We don't need to give it to the winger and get him to beat 5 players and tuck it away in the corner. We're not asking for that. We're working for a bit of hard work, you know. I can guarantee you, Everton play today, and I will guarantee you they will look like they're outrunning us on Saturday, and that's an early kickoff, by the way, as well. So they've got a late kickoff here, and they've got an early kickoff on Saturday. I'm surprised Frank Lampard hasn't said anything about the scheduling. So I can guarantee you it will look like Everton will run us ragged in that midfield. And we're the ones that have the week off, and we've had international break before that. So I don't know. It's such a weird thing with United at the moment. I just pray that we don't lose this game.
He'll probably do what City did and make no substitutes in the second half, because that's what happened to us, wasn't it? They played on the Wednesday, and then on the Saturday they played the early kickoff, and they didn't even make a sub. And it's like, we'll just roll up. It'll be an easy match. Don't worry about it, lads.
Reece, Ronaldo back. Do you think that's a positive? I think Abdul went and he's come back again. But we'll go to you anyway. Yeah. Are you happy to see that? It surely means no unconventional approaches anyway. Surely.
Yeah, I think after the weekend, it was obvious that we were missing him, wasn't it? And and I know he's been up for much debate this season, hasn't he? Is he the problem? Is he not the problem? All that kind of rubbish, really. And clearly, again, he showed that we missed him. And we miss, do we miss him in particular? I suppose, yeah, we do, because he's brilliant. But equally, I think we miss a centre forward. We miss covering that position, don't we? You know, Cavani picking up injury after injury after injury. He's obviously, it doesn't help at all. And he's let's be honest, he's pretty much done, isn't he? Really now. Obviously missing the controversy with Mason Greenwood doesn't help. That's obviously a massive void that we've not filled this season as well. Should they have dipped into the youth team a lot earlier and pulled somebody out and put somebody in that position where, puts a bit of pressure on a young kid to perform. But McNeil's been good this season. Could he replace Greenwood in those shoes? I don't know. Yeah, Ronaldo being back's great. We need a striker. Man United have always had good centre forwards, probably 3 or 4 in a season. So the fact that we're kind of relying upon one who's of an age that he is a massive concern. But no, great having him back, just for lots of reasons. That it's Ronaldo, he brings a vibe. Hopefully, he puts Everton on the back foot straight away, just for the fact that he's on the pitch. We just got to try and have a bit of Man United about us and want to win every game, despite the fact that it looks like the season's over and done with. Just have a little bit of just a bit of bite. A bit of fight, and And respect, a little bit as personal respect. I mean, there's players, like I say, marching around now waiting for the summer breaks, waiting for the next moves, and it's clearly obvious. It's a poor attitude to have, and that's kind of the making of the club, I think, for the last few years, and the reason that we're all so sort of pissed off, really, and sat on here talking about it and angry. So obviously we need to, we need a reset for next year. But Ronaldo being back is hopefully a ray of light in the dark, gloomy cloud of Man United at this moment in time.
So happy. Abdul, we'll just come to you quickly on the Ronaldo thing. Straight back in for you. I mean, we not really heard what you thought of the approach on Saturday. Obviously, we heard what Reece thought on the match review after that one. But yeah, did you go straight in for you and no more messing around, basically, or is there something else? Is there a shout for someone like Marcus Rashford through the middle? Because I tried on Saturday my hardest to pull some positives out, and I thought we looked a little bit better when he came on, but only fractionally, just because we had an outlet, really. But
it's really tough because that forward line, no matter what combination you put them in, it's very hard to get them to blend together because they don't really suit each other very well, all of them. Sancho is a good type to have. By default, I'll have them every single match. But the combination of Elanga and Ronaldo, I think it works because Ronaldo drops deep a lot unnecessarily, and Elanga fills that space that he does when he does. So he occupies the center backs whenever Ronaldo drops deep to do whatever he does. But that vacates our width. That's the width that Elanga was filling shrinks because no one's filling that gap anymore. So Dalot has to push up extra high. They've played well together for let's not say well. So I would keep it the Sancho, Ronaldo, Elanga forward line.
Yeah.
That's just for now. The thing is who also plays behind them. So if we're gonna play Bruno and Fred, I'd like to see Matic as well. I don't want to see Scott in the lineup because there's something that happens right now lately, or actually since Ranić has come in and he allowed Fred to play higher up, right? Fred is utilizing his good points, his strength basically right now, winning the ball back, giving that final pass to an unorganized defense. It doesn't break lines, Fred, but in an advantageous situation where Fred wins the ball out of an unorganized defense, he can, because he's erratic in the nature and he wants to play football at a faster pace than the other people. So he's good in the final third because when he risks, if he loses the ball in the opposition's box, no problem. We still have the length of the field to get back to two. But if you put Fred in front of your own box and he does these risks, then that's a problem. But the issue that Fred is creating right now, while he's benefiting from it, the person who's not benefiting from it is Scott. And all Scott's weaknesses are being just on show right now. If you think Scott was bad before, Scott is horrendous at the moment, right? So, and that's because no one is with him to cover. So Scott McTominay's biggest issue, he lacks a lot of scanning. He does not look around him. He does not see who's behind him. He does not see who's beside him. He just watches the ball, and that's a fatal mistake for a defensive midfielder. It's just fatal, because they can play through you like wind. You're not there, and that's what Fred is. Scott is. He only has these moments where he catches a person from the back when they're receiving the ball and try to get physical with them and win them like that. And this is where people think, oh, he's good. He wins tackles and stuff. But that's not good, And because he's isolated, it's making it worse. Because Fred is pushed up high with Bruno to get the best out of Fred, right? And Fred is benefiting and people are praising him. But suffering is Scott and us, to be frank, because he has a lot of space to cover. Now, what makes up for it, why we're not conceding as much chances as we used to before Ranić, because Sancho and Elanga do their duties. They go back quickly, and Fred does go back. It's just that moment where Scott is alone in the midfield, he gets bypassed easy. So I want Matic there. So at least Matic has the experience and announce and the reading of the game to know where to be at what time, and who and when to not engage. Scott does not know that. Scott wants to engage every time and use his physical, strength, and basically leaves 3 players behind him and that they could play through very easily. And I think I've said this before on a similar show. This is why Scotland play Fred as Scott as a third centre back, because the entire field is in front of him. Nothing is behind him, so nothing can creep up at the back of him. And when he's not scanning, they use his good angles. So the third centre back from the right side, so that's his good passing angle. So it opens up things for him. He does not have to adjust his body a lot more when he's a midfielder, receiving with his back to the opposition and not turning. So that's why they play him in that position. That's why he doesn't get in the midfield in Scotland, because when he get in midfield, there's players behind him, there's players around him, beside him, and he's not good at scanning. So they play him at the very back, and the whole field is in front of him. And that's
Yeah, well, they got Jose Mourinho to thank for that, haven't they? Because I think Jose did that first against West Ham once, and everybody was like, "What are you doing?" But maybe you saw something actually. Right, we'll move on from the striker chat and all that. We'll do the predicted 11, or not predicted. Let's just do our preferred 11. We're going to build a team, and we might have to argue over a few places. So we'll start at the back because it seems logical, doesn't it? So Bainesy, including the goalkeeper. Who is your back 4 / back 5 / what are you going for?
Well, we'll go with the back 4 just to make it easier on the midfield and strikers. So we'll go with a 4-3-3, and then my back 5 would be obviously De Gea. I don't think Henderson's going to get a look in. So De Gea, Dalot, same as last week. I would argue to put Shaw in. I would argue to put him in.
We don't
know about Telles. Sorry, say again.
Do we know if he's still injured or if he's back from it?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I'm not
sure.
Yeah, the last thing I heard is an ankle injury, but I don't know if he recovered.
Yeah.
In that case, if he's injured, he always takes about 4 weeks to come back. So Telles it is. So the same, pretty much the same as last week. So Telles, Maguire, Varane, Dalot, and then De Gea as the keeper.
Okay, Gav, what are you going for? Are you going for similar, same?
The only thing I'd change is Lindelof, because I think he complements Varane more than Maguire does at the moment. And that's not a knock. I mean, one thing I did notice in the match on Saturday is that they moved positions of Varane and Maguire.
They switched them, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
But the problem, even though he is technically a right-sided centre-back, they still didn't change. They didn't change the defensive duties, like Abdel was saying earlier on, with regards to who's the sweeper and who's sort of the enforcer. So if they were going to play Maguire and Varane, I would prefer it if Varane was the one, because of his pace, that was running back to cover anything that goes up the top or down the wing. It's going to be crossed in, and we use Maguire more for his physique, for his heading ability. I mean, he might not have the greatest direction with his headers, but he always seems to be on the end of them. Whichever box it's in, he's always the one that gets his head to the ball first. So if we use him for his capabilities, which I think are his best attributes, brilliant. But if we're going to use him in the way that we're using him at the moment, then I think Lindelof is better at it than he is.
So you're going for Lindelof and Raphael Varane then as your preference. Are you going for left back? Are we assuming that Shaw isn't fit? Or are you Does he get your vote or not?
Not anything as to whether he's fit or not, but it's not worth. We've got quite a few matches to go.
Yeah.
8, 9 matches. We want to try and keep the players as fresh as possible. So it's not like there's a lot of difference between Telles and Shaw. Telles has got attributes that Shaw hasn't got. Shaw has got attributes that Telles hasn't got.
Mm.
It's very similar in a lot of positions. So I'd be more than happy for Telles to come in. And I think he works well down the wing if he's allowed to have license to get forward.
Mm. Yeah. I saw a lot of criticism for Telles actually on Saturday after the game. Just some people couldn't believe he was a footballer, which I can't remember who said that.
I don't think he's bad. Honestly, I don't think he's bad. I just don't think he's Premier League. I'm saying that in the nicest way because the Premier League, well, as we've seen traditionally over the years, we've seen fullbacks who are quick, love to whip a cross in, and the most important thing is the overlapping runs to allow the winger in front of them to either cut in or give it to them. So I don't see that from Telles. I hardly ever see him overlap. I don't think he's a bad player. I think he's a good player. I just don't think he's Premier League.
I think it's personally, I think it's a hardest position on the pitch to play. Personally, yeah. I mean, people could say it's centre midfield, but I don't agree with that. Especially if you're kind of controlling the ball and you've got a good centre midfielder next to you.
Reece was definitely a fullback.
No, I was a centre midfielder, but I was a lazy Pogba type midfielder. So no, I think it is because you not only have to, especially in the modern day game, because you're expected to join
defend
the attacks.
Attack.
Yeah, pretty much, and then you're having to get back, especially if you're a team that we are at the minute who don't control a game really well. You look at the top 3 teams. I mean, look at Chelsea. Chelsea are not the team that once were the first half of the season because Chilwell and Reece James got injuries, and that team just went backwards. So for us, it's I agree, Bainsy. I think that's I think on the last preview show last week that for the Leicester game that for Telles is at max level. He's at max gear at the minute, and Shaw's got levels above him. But the thing is, Shaw's just not on form. So it's like he's allowing Telles to get himself into the team because Shaw wasn't at that Euros form. If Shaw gets back to that Euro form, then Telles is not going to place in the team. But it's a tough position. He's not fit enough, I don't think, Shaw at the minute. Telles is, but he's not got the ability that Shaw's got. So I don't know. I'm kind of stealing Gavin's thunder here. It's not finished.
I was going to
agree with you. You've only got to look at last season with Rashford and Shaw. They
were brilliant, weren't they?
Shaw, he's got that energy to be up and down that wing. He can be in attack, but he can just as quickly get back and clean up anything that's at the back. He's just, like you just said now, he's not at the races to the level that even he would sort of put in.
People were saying he was the best left back in the world at one point for a very brief spell, but he was mentioned. So that's he's up there with some illustrious companies, and he was like
his output was up there with the best.
His output, I think,
his output was up there with
when
the
you're
best.
Comparing them with other left backs around the world. He was up there. To be fair,
creativity.
Everyone questioned his fitness and his defensive ability, which I suppose they're right. But when he was actually attacking with Rashford, his output was tremendous, and he then went into the Euros with that form, and we all saw how great he was there. But he's obviously had a hangover, isn't he?
It's called Shawberto for a reason, weren't it? Reece, can we get your selection anyway, Reece? Your goalkeeper and defenders.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much same. It's I know Gavin went for a different centre back partnership. I'm going to go for Varane and Maguire again, just because I think it's important that they stick as a unit together. Telles, I think, is just because I think Shaw will be unfit for the game on the weekend, so I'm going to suggest that it probably be Telles, and I'm going to go Wan-Bissaka. Right, Dallow's he's had a really good middle patch. But I just think we need a little bit of Wan-Bissaka security on the right. And I want to give him another chance.
I like Wan-Bissaka. He's great.
Well, he's the opposite to Shaw, isn't he? He's got this attacking frailty, but defensive.
He's great.
But then again, his defensive sort of attitudes kind of come under question, I think, for me last few weeks. But I give him another chance. I think he should. We'll see Wan-Bissaka on the right.
Okay, Abdel, what's your selection, goalkeeper and defense wise? Any curveballs for me, or are you gonna follow suit?
I mean, there's no point picking somebody else. We know he's gonna pick De Gea, so gonna be De Gea. And because Shaw is not fit, it's Telles. Like Telles, just like Bainsley was saying, I don't think he's a Premier League fullback. And not only that, I just don't think he brings anything to the game. You know, like progression-wise, even his passes are not that good. The only thing about him is that whipped cross, you know, and taking a set piece. Like if you put him on free kicks, penalty kicks, a set piece from either angles, he's very good at that. Other than that, he just does not really bring anything to the game. Like, he's just a number there. Like, he doesn't make like glaring mistakes. He has his lapses in defense because he's not really a good defender. But he does not bring anything to the game, really. And I mean, his type is really a wing-back type, not really a full-back type. Like, if you play a three at the back system with wing-backs, it will suit Telles much better than a back four, because effectively when you're playing with wing-backs, they're your wingers, right? And he wants to be alone in that area. He does not want to combine with people. It's not his strongest suit. Back when we're playing under Ole last season, that combination between Rashford and Shaw, and even sometimes Martial when he comes in, it really brought the best out of Rashford and Shaw. Like that, all of them just knew each other, knew how to combine together very well. With Telles, he hasn't been able to build a connection with anybody really, Sancho or Rashford, because he likes that channel on his own to whip in crosses and just run down that line. So, but Shaw is unfit, so we don't have anyone else. I'll put Dalot, not Aaron Wan-Bissaka, even though, like, I see the reason for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but I'll put Dalot just because the thing is that the one thing that Dalot has over Aaron Wan-Bissaka is his passes. Dalot's passes, progressive passes, are way better, top tier, than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a good with the ball at his feet. He can get out of tight spots a little bit, even though if it looks clumsy a little bit, like not very aesthetically pleasing, but he does. It's just his passes are really bad, and he doesn't know when to break the lines and when to give the passes, and also crossing as well. So I'm not saying the lost crossing is the best. He never hits the man's head anyway. So, but like his success rate is very low. But it's just his progression, and that's probably why he's playing. Now, unfortunately, it's causing an issue for us because Telles is playing on the left, so we're not progressing from the left as much as we used to. We're progressing from the right, but there's no support from the right because Sancho plays on the left. So it kind of forces Dalot to make crosses from very deep, or those over the top, passes to someone in the box. So, like, our formation or our way of playing is flipped upside down, because the people you're trying to reach are on the left, but the people who are trying to get the passes to the people who are actually good are on the opposite side of the field. It's like it's just so funny. But if you play Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Telles, then you basically have nobody to progress the ball, because you don't even have a defensive midfielder who's good at progressing the ball. You're only reliant on Maguire. Like, literally the only person who's going to progress the ball for you is Maguire, and you just can't have that. He'll be an easy target, and he will lose the ball. So I will put Dalot just for that reason. So at least it's one person more than Maguire.
Centre backs.
Yeah, and Varane and Maguire.
Varane and Maguire. I think that is going to be the what he goes for, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And that is what we got on the graphics, so that's quite helpful as well. So Bear with me. Let's get that up there on the screen
The
in a
Sky
second.
Sports News graphic.
The Sky Sports News graphic, yeah. If Photoshop on this computer decides to work anything like at a decent pace, because my God, this laptop is slow.
Like Maguire.
Whilst I'm doing that, Bainsy, what's your midfield?
This one's tough because last week I went with McFred and Bruno. But I think after seeing Scott McTominay play, I don't think he's quite there. Maybe his confidence is completely shot, probably. So I would go with Matic. Oh, Matic, Pogba, and Bruno. That's going to be really controversial, I think, because everyone seems to think that Pogba and Bruno don't work. But Matic, Pogba, and Bruno. Let's just go with that.
It's exciting. It's exciting.
It is.
Certainly.
It is. It's post lockdown football. You know, where we was banging in goals for fun. But yeah, let's go with that three. I like Fred. I really do. It might be Fred, Pogba, Bruno. It might be Fred, Matic, Bruno. It's definitely Bruno. But
it's definitely Bruno.
Yeah. So I'll go with Matic, Bruno, and Pogba, I think.
Cool. Right, one sec. Where are we up to? It's not working for me. Why is it doing that? Anyway. Computer says no. Gav, what's yours anyway, whilst we're at it?
I'd echo that. Mentioned it earlier on that I think that having that security of Matic in the defensive midfield role, I am going to sort of stick up for McTominay in a sense, because he's not a DM. He's being played out.
Yeah,
I don't know who it is in that coaching setup. I don't know whether it's because they look at him and they sort of see the similar size build to Matic and they think, right, you're perfect DM quality. He's not a DM. He's more of a box-to-box midfielder, and I think he's being exposed by being put in a position which just doesn't suit him. Asked to be doing a role that isn't his role. So for me, if you've got Matic on the Pogba, you can do that box-to-box role and be a little bit more offensive rather than worrying about that defensive line. And then that allows him to play on the shoulder of Bruno and ping it out to the wings. And it also then allows Bruno that freedom to be the Cam that he was last season. So, yeah, I'd play same.
Consensus so far. Wow. Abdul, what will you go for your midfield three? It might be differently configured to what we have up on the graphic, whether it's a two and a attacking midfield, or if it's a straight three or whatever. But what's your three of choice, or is it a three? I mean, I'm not going to change the formation now because the graphic says no.
It's a three, so I would pick Matic, Fred, and Bruno.
Matic, Fred, and Bruno.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that too, to be fair.
I was tied between that. I was sort of umming and ahhing between the two, because if you look at
between who and who? Sorry.
Yeah, Pogba and Fred.
It's either Pogba or Fred, I think.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I wanted to put Pogba, I'll put him in place of Bruno, not both Fred and Bruno. Not Pogba and Bruno.
Yeah,
because I just want to put Pogba up.
Yeah,
I don't want to put Pogba in the middle of the pitch or back. Because if he loses the ball, or if they were get transitioned on, he's not running as quick, people will say he's not interested in all that drama. So just stick him up, because he's much better up anyway. All his good work gets done up in the field, not in the middle third.
Reece, go on. Sorry, sorry, Gav.
Pogba. That was a solution under Ollie, left wing
bar. Yeah.
Reece, what's your three of choice?
I'm kind of torn a little bit. I liked Baines' idea of Pogba in there with Matic and Bruno, but I think what he'll probably go with is probably Matic, Fred, and Bruno. So I agree with the rest of the guys. I think that's probably more likely what's gonna happen.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I'm just a nostalgia merchant. Don't worry about me. I just like that post-lockdown football. That's what it was.
Well, I think Fred's done nothing wrong to lose a place in the team. He scored a goal last week, so obviously he shouldn't really necessarily be dropped. I think we kind of missed a trick. We're not playing starting match last game as well, so I think match comes in, gives us some stability in there. And what Matic does quite well, which I think we spoke about last week as well, is progress the ball well forward, whereas a lot of the teams tend to play a lot sort of sideways passes, whereas, as I say, Matic is quite progressive. So hopefully that gives us, winning those balls deep in our own half and then moving it forward quickly.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, and then obviously Bruno is in there because it's Bruno, and he's seemingly undroppable, but he has done nothing wrong. So I think obviously Bruno will be in there. So that'll be my 3. Yeah.
If we had post-lockdown Pogba,
well, I think that
it would be a harder decision, but because Pogba hasn't exactly been playing at his best, his
head's not at the club. Honestly, his head's not at the club.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Yeah,
Fred at the moment, there's a little bit more desire in his play, so it makes it an easier decision.
Yeah.
Well, you're actually tied on the selection anyway, because 2 of you went for Fred and 2 of you went for Pogba. Obviously, interesting that no one's gone for Scott McTominay, but I think with good reason, as Abdul's kind of explained to us anyway. So yeah, I'm not surprised that we've gone this way, but I'm going to make the final selection, and I'm going to go for Fred.
General.
Fred.
Okay.
It's got to be. It's got to be Fred. And I mean,
I think it has to be. Yeah.
He's in arguably better form.
Yeah,
he's not done it. He's not done anything wrong, and his heart's definitely more in it than Pogba. Whether Pogba wants to stay or that's a whole different argument, and I'm not accusing him of wanting to go or anything. Well, I'm not saying he's not committed to playing these last few games, but I would still pick Fred over him at the moment. Either way, is what I'm saying. So that is what we're going for the midfield. So we'll just whack that up there, and hopefully
look at that.
Are we good? There we go. Right, so we're nearly there. So let's do the forward line then. Now we're hoping that Ronaldo is back, I imagine. Obviously, we didn't know that it was going to be unavailable last time because it was kind of set in stone when we picked the last lineup. I don't think anything happened in the last game to make us think, drop Ronaldo and go with something else. Yeah. So, Bainsy, what's assuming you're going Ronaldo?
Yeah, Ronaldo's the banker. He's definitely going to start, especially if he's fit and he's had a week off. Well, not off. Sorry, he's had a week to train and whatever to get fit. I did put Sancho and Rashford in last week. Rashford's just not right, is he? He's just not right. So it's Elanga and Sancho for me with Ronaldo in the middle. I think that's fairly obvious why. We know that he's playing well and he's sort of adapting to the Premier League, and we're starting to see the fruits of his labour a little bit. Ronaldo's the obvious one. And with Elanga, I just think he's just playing better than Rashford, which is such a shame. I don't know what's wrong with Rashford. I put him in last week on the hope that he had a 2-week break. He could really focus on him, and most of the attention was away on Maguire at that point. But he just doesn't look like himself at the moment, and I think that's why Elanga is getting his game time.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think I did you dirty last week, Gavin. I think you actually chose Elanga, and I put Rashford in the starting lineup, thinking you said Rashford. So, any changes to that selection this week? I believe you went Elanga, Sancho, Ronaldo.
For me, I'd keep Rashford as an impact sub for the rest of the season. Partly to protect him from himself, because he's just gonna do himself more harm than good with his mentality, with his whatever it is that's going on with him off the field. So keep him as an impact sub. He can make a difference. He can make an impact from the bench. And then just, Sancho, Elanga, Ronaldo. It sort of picks itself just slightly.
I think we're going to end up picking the exact same team as we did last week, but let's keep going anyway. Abdul, what's your shout for a front three? Any shout for Marcus Rashford to be in there or no?
As the man said there, sorry, I don't know your name. I forgot. Gavin, right?
Gav, yeah.
Gav,
Yeah.
right. Sorry. As he said, like, just keep him on the bench for now for himself, to protect him, because unfortunately for Marcus, there might be some mental issues. I don't know, but I think it's largely playing with him on the field, right? And playing with him on the field is not doing the best of Marcus, as he'll never bring the best out of Marcus. Okay, so if you play a front three of the with Ronaldo, that's three who are very, very, very similar in the way they approach the game or the game. Playing with each other, they're not. And
I think we're losing him again.
Yeah, I think we are.
For that CS type, he needs doing the overlap behind. Why does he need those players? Because those players.
Well,
should I come in?
Yeah. I'll just mute Abdul for time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to anyway. Not working. There we go. Yeah, Reese, do you want to just come in and give us your front three, and we'll tell Abdul that he's going.
Yeah. Sorry, Abdul. I don't know if you can hear us. But, yeah. Do you want to try again? I think it was you. We just.
Oh, was I speaking to everybody for the whole time?
No. Just
you're coming in and out. It's like a bit laggy, but it's all right. Go on. I think we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. So I was saying that Marcus needs someone to link up with, right? Like he needs the Martial type. He needs Luke Shaw to do overlaps, because these players, basically what they do, they create space for Marcus. Marcus does not operate in tight spaces. That's not his game. So if you drop Marcus in games where people are defending against you deep, and you don't provide him with someone to link up play with him and create space with him, then Marcus will look terrible. And that's why, because Martial wasn't playing most of the season last season, his performances weren't good, despite output was still being okay, And slowly but surely that caught up with him. So the performances weren't good, and he can't produce the same output no more, because we took the one player that actually brought the best out of Marcus, which is Martial, and now also Luke Shaw dropped in form, so there was no help whatsoever to him. If you play Cristiano Ronaldo with Marcus, they're very similar. They do similar things, and they don't combine. Like, I remember the very few games that Cristiano Ronaldo played this season, Marcus tried to combine with him, and it just didn't work. Like, he thought he can, receive the ball in tight area and play a 1-2 with him. That's not Cristiano Ronaldo. He's not going to do that, It's like he's still thinking this is Martial. It's not Martial. So if there's no that type, Marcus Rashford cannot play, because he will look terrible and it will affect his confidence even further. So that's why I don't want him to play. And he hasn't built I think hopefully in the future, he should build a relationship with Sancho. So, for example, if they get closer in the midfield or in the wide areas, they can combine together. But that has not happened yet. So there is no point in playing Marcus if the team that you're playing against are going to defend deep. And Everton will do that when they get the chance. Will make Marcus suffer. So that's why I don't want him to play.
That's fair enough. So that if you don't want Marcus Rashford to play, that there's no other options, is there, other than the three we've mentioned? So unless we're putting Pogba up there, but I think we've moved past that now, haven't we? So Reese, your three, is it the same again, or are you going to throw a little curveball for me? No one's throwing curveballs tonight.
To save you a Photoshop headache, Simon, I'll.
Thank you. We got it ready to go. Let's go.
There it is.
Hey, there we go. That was easy. Yeah, that's what it's going to be, I think, isn't it? Well, that's our preference, whether or not Rangnick goes for it. But go on, Reese, you were saying.
No, I mean, yeah, it obviously just confirmed the rest of the guys. That's kind of, I think, worryingly, as much as it's good that you get some consistency, it is picking itself, isn't it? For wrongly or rightly, I think at the minute. I mean, the formation in the previous Everton game, if that's anything to take from this, it was a game that Ronaldo was initially dropped for his first kind of drop in of United, his return to United.
Oh,
so
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
yeah, which was an odd one. I mean, guess the formation of that game. It was a very strange kind of selection of players, really. But Ronaldo was dropped for that game. That's when we all discovered that he puts his own face on his shin pads, which was quite funny.
Oh, yeah.
Vain bastard, man.
Yeah. Somehow we all still love him. So, no, it'd be interesting. Ronaldo's back. When he's had a bit of time off, he usually produces some goods, doesn't he? So hopefully he does again. And 2-0. 2-0 Simon. I'll get in there early and say 2-0.
Well, you beat me. You beat me to it. Who's the first goal scorer? Since no one got anything right on Saturday. So.
Oh, good first goal scorer. I do want to say Ronaldo, but it's an obvious choice. I'm going to say Sancho.
We had about an obvious. Fred's an obvious choice in it, Bainsy. Come on.
Yeah, I was just actually, to be honest, I was just about to say Fred. I'm going to go with 2-1. We're just leaking too many goals. I mean, you obviously need to win. I'm not going to pick United to lose. I think I'll kill myself if we lose. But I'm going to go with first goal scorer, Fernandez. Let's go with that. A nice, easy pick. And I'll go with 2-1 win.
Yep.
Hopefully.
I will accept that from you. Gav, what's your score prediction and first goal scorer?
Well, I can see goals in the game, so it's probably going to be 0-0. But I think we could see a repeat of the Burnley match tonight. They need to score. They need to win. So that's going to leave space in behind for us to have some proper good driving attacks. And I think Elanga is overdue a goal, so I'm going to choose him to go as first goal scorer. And I think we might get the same result that they got tonight at Burnley. So I'm going to go with a 3-2. And maybe, we could have a thrilling match rather than a boring 1-1. So you never know.
It's got to happen at some point. Abdul, what's your score prediction and your first goal scorer?
I'll go for a 3-1. And
to United, yeah.
To United, of course. First goal scorer, I'll say Maguire from a corner.
I said that last week. I think
it'd be a turn up for the Bucks, wouldn't it? Yeah, it'd be lovely.
Yeah. It's more of a hope than anything.
And Ben didn't deny that he was going to give someone 5k. By the way, he's not said anything.
I was just about to ask last week what happened with that $5,000. Is it still up for grabs?
Yeah, he put it in my bank account the other night and just said, just dish that out.
For what? If Maguire scores?
The idea is we're gonna have a bit of a league table and see who gets the most points. 1 point for correct goal scorer. Yeah, we're all on 0. Yeah, so
we're all on 0 from last week. Yeah.
Nice. So we're splitting it currently. So yeah. I'm gonna go 2-2 and Bruno. I think that's my bet. Right. Well, we'll leave it at that. I'm not going to be with you for the post game review because I'll be out in Manchester having a few beers and no one want to see me on the internet.
Drowning your sorrows.
Drowning my sorrows potentially. Yeah. So I think it's Grant that's going to be doing the review after the game. I'm not sure who else is on with him, but I'm sure I'll be back for the preview next week. But if I don't see any of you guys, enjoy the game. And to everybody watching, thanks for watching and like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Keep watching All for United. We've got a lot of good stuff coming this week as well. Plenty of stuff going on in channel every day at the moment. So yeah, well worth sticking to. So we'll see you next time, guys. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you later.
Take care.